how can we, create a more beneficial communications network for communities and remote areas, and let's put education as one of the first priorities within this greater infrastructure investment.
So in your opinion, what collaborative efforts between business and, well, businesses, as you mentioned before, and governments and communities are necessary to achieve SDG goal 4 on a global scale? Like, and what challenges need to be overcome for these collaborations to be effective?
Yeah, no, I think obviously collaboration is key to achieving our sustainable development goal number 4, as it is with any. And businesses can innovate and invest. Governments can create policies and provide funding, and communities can ensure that these initiatives are culturally relevant and sustainable. But the main challenge is the coordination amongst these players to avoid duplication, ensure that initiatives are scalable and have that long-term impact. And another is ensuring the quality of education is not compromised just in the pursuit of increasing accessibility. So, it needs to be coordinated, it needs to be led. And look, people that are in business, and I don't want to, put any doubt on anybody's intentions, but there's always profit at the end of the day. So, if we can look at, rather than creating supporting education business policy outside of your business activities, I think it's fair to embrace that for-profit education has a positive impact on the world of education. It allows reinvestment. It allows disbursement, democratization of the access to education. So, I think companies shouldn't be, particularly in the education space, shouldn't be afraid to pursue for profit and then reinvest that in other spaces. Governments also have different triggers which are leading their investment in education. Some countries in our region are driven by PISA test scores, and that will unfortunately result in short-term investment into a certain space to increase the scores in, let's say, science before the next examinations. But really, when you're making educational reform, you need to do it at a grassroots level and in sync with the private sector partners that are looking at investing in. We've seen too many times where there's been huge investment in technology, let's say tools or devices that learners can access content, but then the content is not created locally, or there's a mismatch between the national curriculum and the free content that's provided, and students are not able to use it. So, it's really that coordination and collaboration, and assuming everyone has good intentions, there needs to be that public-private sync. And this is where, the education experts and those that have done it before in the region can really, really contribute to supporting these kind of ventures.
So are you saying that you also personally have, faces such as challenges between, collaborating with you as a businessman? May I say that you are a businessman in this case?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Have you tried, collaborating with governments, let's say in Vietnam or in Indonesia, maybe, or maybe with such a local community?
Yeah, so I've had good experience in working with governments in a number of countries personally, and fortunately the world has changed. We are slowly moving away from corruption in the education space, but this was a significant issue for us to face. Education became a very lucrative industry in our most populous areas of our region, and there were people who had positions of power that could use this to broker deals for their own benefit. I'm happy to say that, although it's not completely eliminated, at least I think policies have improved so that there is much less corruption in the education space, at least at a government level. We still face things like bribes and what have you in some markets, just because of the size and scope of the education opportunity. So the more transparent that governments are with their, let's say, RFP process, or how they're engaging with foreign enterprises or investors in the education space, that make sure that every dollar is invested actually goes to be a dollar spent on a learner's opportunity to grow, as opposed to an administrator or an official who's getting a nice holiday or a new car, these kind of things. And that was a real issue. And also, sometimes there's volatility in less developed countries politically, that one country has an initiative under one government, and then there's a change in government, budget gets put aside, or sometimes there's an approach that is completely against the initial policy of the previous government, which means that initiatives get scrapped. I spent some time in Myanmar, and obviously Myanmar is a country that has a lot of challenges, and I know people on both sides of the political agenda who are very, very passionate about education. It's just that, in the unfortunate situation they're in now, that it's not easy for us as foreign entities to access Myanmar to support education anymore. That's not because the people on one side disagree with the investment in education. It's just some of the other factors that negatively impact that ability for people to be involved, unfortunately.
I see. So with that, all of the challenges that you've been facing from then and now, are you optimistic with this improvement of the quality of education?
Yeah, I am, and I think it's down to the world becoming smaller thanks to technology. There is a massive motivation for governments and industry to improve communications technology in countries, whether they're thinking about education or not. So fortunately, jumping on that means that young people will be able to have access to more information. I know there's some great stories from small villages in India where there's one iPad put in the village that is free access for learners to be able to engage. I mean, this kind of thing was unheard of, let's say, 20, 30 years ago. Now this is giving opportunities to people at such a great rate. If you look at how AI is such a game changer, and how we can adapt content to suit learners' pace and style, no matter where they are, no matter what their bandwidth, no matter kind of what they need. There's so many ways now that even the content can be created on the spot to meet that immediate demand of the learners. And things like TikTok have been a massive contributor to education, because short videos of how to do things in a culture or an environment that we've never seen before. I can cook now in the house thanks to TikTok recipes, and I tell you, for 40 years of my life, I've not been a chef, and now my family would happily eat my meals. And put that into context in another situation where a young person in a village somewhere has to repair a bicycle that is given to them, and nobody in the village knows how to repair the bicycle, but this learner is able to access this content on YouTube or TikTok, or by reaching out to a community online, and be able to learn how to fix this issue, and then can go to the next village and fix their bicycle. Or I mean, that's maybe a primitive example, but that's the kind of things that create optimism with me, in terms of that education will improve. And in some parts of Southeast Asia, we have enrollment in basic education is up into the 90% of the youth population. I think I read that in a UNESCO report, and I couldn't have imagined this before. I mean, we still struggle with literacy and numeracy rates, but because of the technology and because of the more community approach to education, we're not leaving people behind. There's a long way to go. I don't think we'll ever get to the stage of perfection, but I think there's enough people and enough of a positive movement to be optimistic. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Honestly, it makes me also feel more optimistic about it.
Yeah, and if we can, use our platforms, and we can use our networks to share these stories with more people, who maybe don't know what's going on in certain parts of the world in terms of education, or don't know what opportunities exist. If we can reach out to these people and bring people together, then we can accelerate the improvement and the advancement of quality education more broadly across the entire population.
Yeah, exactly. So even let's say me as an individual, I can do so much, like maybe sharing educational content on social media, and if everyone doing the same, I think it would be great that people can raise awareness about how education can be so simple as sharing some useful information to others, right?
Yeah, totally. And traditionally, education was created because we wanted people to behave in a certain way. So, in order to make people behave in a certain way,
Mhm.
we taught them the way that things need to be done. And there's some things that are very useful for life, but other things have changed a lot. So, maybe you don't need as comprehensive academic education now as you did 30, 50, or 100 years ago. Maybe it's the basics, literacy and numeracy, and then the rest of it is you create your own world, which path you want to take. And as you said, people like you and other young people across the world creating content that seems more achievable to young people, where they can see that their elders or their seniors are out there doing something different, have come from different cultures, have come from some cases the same backgrounds that they have, or at least the same nations, from the same challenges, have gone global, are interacting with people across the world, are interested in the things that they're interested in, and have turned this into a career or have turned this into a passion. And keep creating these role models is an extremely important piece of education. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much for your insights about this education, and aligns with the businesses and the technologies you're currently doing. And well, I hope this could help our viewer to understand more about how education, how quality of education can be achieved from many ways.
Yeah, great. It's been a
Thank you
pleasure
so much.
talking to you
Yeah.
and sharing. Yeah. Thank you.